Hello and welcome back. Just gonna read a little something before we get into the discussion. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. She is more precious than rubies, nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, and in her left hand are riches and honor. Her ways are pleasant ways, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who take hold of her. Those who hold her fast will be blessed. That is wisdom. There's another very long passage in here talking about wisdom's call, and I'm just going to read the ending part because it's really long, and this is from Proverbs 8, wisdom's call. So this is in the first person of wisdom. Wisdom is saying, "Now then, my children, listen to me. Blessed are those who keep my ways. Listen to my instruction and be wise. Do not disregard it. Blessed are those who listen to me, watching daily at my doors, waiting at my doorway. For those who find me find life and receive favor from the Lord. But those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death." So today's topic, wisdom. Wisdom being the ability, I have this definition written down for us, so we got this right. Wisdom is the ability to apply knowledge, experience, and good judgment to navigate life's complexities. It is often associated with insight, discernment, and ethics in decision making. Wisdom and self-mastery are like besties, right? You can't have one without the other. Because within self-mastery, it is also about the control of self to further reach goals. I should have wrote that down too, but whatever. Watch yesterday's episode. We're going on to it. Wisdom. Yesterday was all self-mastery. Today's wisdom. So, wisdom, the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment, the quality of being wise. How do you get that, though? You apply what is learned into your life. You can learn everything and still lack wisdom. Why? Because you have not applied that. You have not made it applicable to your life. So it's just another person's story. It's just another text in a book. It's just another writing on a page. But when you apply the lesson, it then transmutes, it becomes wisdom. You will not gain wisdom reading another story and not applying it to somehow in your own life. Now, this is also going to kind of umbrella the topic of also applying other things in our lives, like self-discipline and when our minds and our bodies whisper messages to us and we ignore them and do not apply, that is lack of wisdom. Wisdom would be to apply that internal message or that indicator of it's time for new or time for change or the next step. We always know that. We are always given what is the next step or what do I need to do next. However, we fight the answer to that because it's not catered in a way that suits our lack of overcoming. You have to really be a warrior to want to keep applying lessons, applying internal messages and guidance into your life to create wisdom. That is a conscious effort. That is also a conscious decision too. You will not just gain it. You got to apply it. Because it wasn't until me personally changing my life around that all of the lessons I've learned through my shitty traumatic experiences did not turn into wisdom until I started to apply what was learned years later. kept repeating the cyclical pattern that was destruction and chaos of self until I applied what I was learning. Did I want to necessarily? Because a lot of what I was hearing internal message-wise was stuff I didn't want to do. But here's the thing. What would you rather do? Would you rather spend all of your time, energy, and focus on stuff you want to do, pleasurable activity and whatnot, that will keep maintaining you in a cyclical pattern of repetition, which also takes effort? Or would you rather funnel that same effort and that same focus into overcoming, applying what you're learning, digging yourself out of these holes, changing your life for the better? Because both are equally hard. In the beginning, choosing the side of non-change appears to be easier. That's the devil's trick. It appears to be more fun. It appears to be more pleasurable and seductive in a way. Yet once it has you, it drains and it takes. It just does. It just does. It's just like addiction. It's like in the beginning, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the best high ever. I can do this, this, and this. I feel this. I feel that. This is amazing. I'm not sad anymore. And then, once it has hold of you, it then depletes you even further than the lack of depletion you were already in. And that, to me, is also hard. Actually, comparing the two lives, that life was harder. That life was extremely harder. Why? Because there was never enough money. The bills were never paid on time. The electricity's constantly getting turned off. The rent's constantly getting late fees, eviction notices on the door. People are robbing you, stealing from you. Friends are harming you, abusing you. But then in this life, my challenge is just getting out of my own way. Getting up early enough in the morning to work out before I have work. At a job that pays my bills. At a job that I'm severely passionate about and fulfills me. All of those blessings come from a heaping amount of self-discipline. But self-discipline plays back into my own pride and confidence and my own empowerment. So is it really harder? No, because that old life is just depletion. That's just depletion. That's lack of wisdom. That's lack of application of learned lessons. The cyclical pattern of crap. The shitstorm that is your life, or mine at that time. And that is from denying ourselves the opportunity to gain wisdom. We'd rather sit at folly's door. Folly offers us festivities. Folly offers us fun. But everyone's dead inside. That's another passage in here. Because I don't know how to explain it in words, but just from the cause and effect of my own life, it ain't the way. I'm telling you, it strips you of your pride. It strips you of your confidence. It strips you of your empowerment. Overindulgence does nothing to you but destroy you. It is not you spoiling yourself. That's not self-care. Self-care is making sure you're releasing the appropriate brain chemicals every day through activities and practices that are structured to meet your non-negotiable needs. That is wisdom. And when you have wisdom, You got a long life in the one hand and riches and honor in the other. That's what wisdom provides. Folly? To those who have no sense, she says, stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious, but little do they know that the dead are there, that her guests are deep in the realm of the dead. Doesn't that just red flag you right there when someone says stolen water is sweet, food eaten in secret is delicious? What does that mean? You're coveting your food. You're holding this to yourself. You're lying. You're secretive. I'm not sure, but either way, those sentences are red flags to me. The stolen water is sweet was enough for me to recognize that the second sentence, food eaten in secret is delicious, is probably also a negative connotation for something. But that's what folly will do. And I have met multitudes of people along my journey who believe that if they just gaslight themselves enough, that they can do folly things, follow pleasures, and not be dead inside. That's them lying to themselves. I've literally had an argument with somebody before where they actually said, "Did you know, Lex, that when you believe a lie hard enough, it becomes the truth?" That sounds a lot like folly to me. Stolen water is sweet. Yeah, let's just abolish all our honor and values. But that was that person's lifestyle. To cover the shame and the guilt, maybe, that they may have felt about their lifestyle. Also a drug addict, but a lot far more gone than I was. And I didn't know it could be levels like that, but it very well can be. Where at least I acknowledged the sense of, this is wrong. But the people around me were like, this is life. Stolen water is the sweetest. And these people would steal, they would rob, they would abuse, they would cheat, they would lie. But to them, to their truth, that was their learned wisdom in a really weird, backwards way. But I would recognize the lack of life in each and one of these people. And it wasn't just because of the drugs. It's those glances, those stolen glances you take when you recognize they're disassociating for no reason. What are you thinking about? You know? Where are you at right now? Hell on earth? That's right. It's like you're living in hell, but you're trying to convince yourself that it's Florida. No, that's demon landscape. That's not the Gulf. Those are demons lighting you on fire. You're not just getting a tan, you know? But you can gaslight yourself enough out of the application of wisdom. You could, but who are you doing a disservice to? You. It's just you. And there was another... But those who fail to find me harm themselves. Is that not spot on? Those who refuse to apply the learned lessons in life harm themselves. And it might look like getting harmed by others, but it's a you thing because you're not applying what you're learning. And at a certain point, it is your fault. Because if you keep letting the cycle repeat, you are denying yourself the application of knowledge, in turn, the deep-seated acknowledgement of wisdom. Why? Why? Is it because with wisdom, you have nothing left to complain about? Because I've noticed that about our society. The negatives and the draw-ons of, oh, it's just another day, that bonds people. And they form this real strong structure of hating other people a lot more so than your next average Joe. Why? Because when you bond like-mindedness into a mob mentality of agreement that life sucks, you're not going to have respect for this reality and the people in it and the creatures in it and the plants in it. You're not even going to notice any of that. And people bond and they create these little strong little submarines, little torpedoes to ruin the days of others. And they don't even know because they think at least we're all connected through hating our spouses, or we're all connected through fuck inflation, like, are these things truths that are happening? Yes. Do they need us to swim in them or to overcome them? To learn the lesson and apply it to gain the wisdom to get out of that situation. Sitting in the mud doesn't get you any cleaner. It just doesn't. Proactivity. If you're covered in mud, all right, what do I gotta do? I can't go in the house to get a shower. I'm covered in mud. I don't want the mud in the house. I'll track mud through the house. All right, where's the hose? Or I got the hose. I'm gonna rinse myself off with the hose. I'll grab a towel from the basement. I'll dry off in the basement. I'll be dry by the time I get upstairs. Then I'll take a shower. That versus I'm in the mud. Okay? I'd rather see our society bond through our vulnerabilities, talking about self and I, not others, not pointing fingers. How are you handling the situation? What are your vulnerabilities that made this situation challenging to overcome? What tools and structures did you put in place to eliminate those vulnerabilities so that you can overcome that challenge? Or not even eliminate those vulnerabilities, but what did you do to nurture those vulnerabilities so that you can overcome the challenge? That's what the discussions we should be having these days, don't you think? Because then we're spreading on learned lessons and application. This is something that's overlooked. It's great to vent with your friends. Awesome. That's different. Venting is like you get it out. You open the vent, the exhaust goes out, and it's all over. What I'm talking about is a solid bond through mutual hatred, resentment, anger, and misunderstanding. Because that's a codependent relationship, by the way, and it's everywhere. It's the people that, hey, how's your day going? Oh, it's a day. What is that, bro? You're alive. Sorry. And it's that mentality that skates around wisdom. It's that mentality that constantly feels stuck and feels like a victim to their own self-sabotaging behavior. Oh man, my insides feel horrible. I'm not sleeping good. Blah, blah. Are you exercising? Did you cut out alcohol? How about sugar? You cut some of that out too? Oh no, you didn't do any of those things? Then I don't give a shit. You're not applying. So you are those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death. If you love death, I'm not going to follow you off the cliff. Going back to what we talked about yesterday about how the self-mastery journey and the authenticity journey helps you recognize when you are entangling your energy with the energy of someone who will take you over the edge of that cliff. It's a lot easier for you to differentiate when you live by a certain structure of morals, codes, and ethics. It's not a bad thing. That doesn't make me not unique. It doesn't make... Listen, like, you're allowed to have morals and values and still hang out with your friends, have a picnic in the grass, and, like, smoke a joint. Like, I'm not saying you need to, like... I don't know what the extreme is, but sometimes I just feel like people visualize it that way. That, like, you're like some square who doesn't know how to have fun because you have morals and values. No, fun is not synonymous with lack of moral and value. That would be folly, in my opinion. But there's a plenty of fun out there that doesn't taint your morals and values. So, yeah, you can't save them either. Only they can save themselves. This is a statement. This isn't a, oh, well, they might harm themselves. No, it's a they will harm themselves. And if people are harming themselves, who's the next person to get harmed in that group if you're chilling with them? You are. You will get harmed by people who harm themselves because they feel that harm is a normal activity to do. They will be shocked and awed by your reaction of sadness, despair, and anger because they're like, what? I hurt myself all the time. All I did was hurt you a little bit. Like, relax. No, I don't deserve any harm. Neither do you. But if you don't want to find wisdom, which finds life, I got nothing for you. I'm not hanging out in the land of the dead. I'm hanging out with life. Coming from someone who, at one point in my life, considered this life too challenging as the person that I am authentically. And I was like, but I heard a voice. You haven't tried everything yet. Everything? What does that mean? And that got me thinking, I haven't tried swiping the slate clean and becoming a completely different lifestyle. I haven't tried that yet. I just kept repeating the drugs and the alcohol and the quick pleasures and the codependent relationships so that I didn't have to sit alone with my depressive thoughts and actions. I also, at that time in my life, chose to harm myself. Because I gained no wisdom until that night where I heard a voice in my mind say, you didn't do enough. I thought I tried it all. I really did. Because I didn't think I was capable of anything else. I didn't realize that there are an infinite amount of possibilities to how to live this life. Am I who I am still? Hell yeah. Still very much the same type of personality. However, my lifestyle is completely different. I don't lie. I have morals and values I uphold. I have strict routine for myself and self-discipline, and I'm always trying to be better than I was yesterday. I cut out people who make me feel sad and make me feel uncomfortable. I cut out people who are trying to misunderstand me for my entire life. I also cut out people who have negative connotations to say about me behind my back. We don't need that. We don't need that. So when you start doing that kind of stuff and you just start to soar, and then somebody with a lack of wisdom, somebody who loves death comes in and tries to get you to join them in self-harm, you now have the confidence and the willpower and the self-mastery to say, go to hell where you already live and reside. You can return there. And the universe, God will send you those tests. Well, I don't really think he's sending them, but it's the devil trying to get you back. But God knows you can overcome that at this point. You know what I mean? Because, I notice that. They slip in every once in a while as if to test my resolve, as if to remind me of the idea, are you still okay with being alone rather than drinking poison? Are you still okay with working hard and having self-discipline over collaboration or working with others or being, these are the things that, for me in my journey, accepting being alone and doing it alone was my biggest lesson to apply into wisdom. And now I continuously, every chunk of time, I'll get a test of the devil whispering back to his clutches, and I will recognize what's happening, and I'll be, no, thank you. Because I no longer have the time to keep stepping out of my alignment and offsetting my vibrational frequency. And also, it just takes a lot longer to get out of low vibrational frequency than it is to drop from high into low. So, get your wisdom going, man. Get going. Let's see what else is here. The soundness of an action or decision with regard to the application of experience, knowledge, and good judgment. Here's the sentence example. Some question the wisdom of building the dam so close to an active volcano. Yeah, I'd question that wisdom too, because that's obviously not the application of experience or knowledge, nor good judgment. The body of knowledge and principles that develops within a specified society or period, plural noun wisdoms, the traditional farming wisdom of India. Oh, that's cool. So yeah, we can have wisdom as a society. Oh, let's not even get into society right now. I try not to look at all of society. I try to only look at the society parts that are overcoming right now, because it's just, it's angering. A plus B always equals C. With every cause, there is an action, right? With every consequence, with every action, there's a consequence. Like, there's always cause and effect, right? Always. That's also another universal truth. With cause is always effect. The observer is never separate from what is being observed. We are not victims of circumstance. We are not victims of our brains. We are not victims of our memories. We can be, but that's not our purpose or our job. That is actually a possibility to overcome. We are not meant to be victims. We are meant to be created in the eyes of God, these ultimate creatures of creation, that we are here to protect the animals and the earth. And we're squabbling over stuff, we're not applying. And we want to try and erase all of this wisdom because of the idea of people who've never actually been a part of it feeling scared about things like brainwashing, cults, that whole idea, conformity. People are so terrified of conformity. But what is it to conform? No one's asking people to conform. We're basically begging people to learn how to gain wisdom, which is to apply their life lessons to their moving forward lives, to come up with a proactive approach to the lessons that they have learned. You don't gotta conform. You can still be a very unique, alternative, different person and still have respect and value for others. You can still create shock and awe value by being the calmest person in the room. You don't need to be the loudest or the most ostentatious or the one with the most exciting outfit on with the most eye-catching adornments. That's like the exploded transformer demanding my attention because it's on fire. Is that power? Because I'm pretty sure half the town is out of electricity right now. Or is true commanding power one that hums like the power lines outside, the silence of electricity through our homes? That's stable, and it's supportive. And it never boasts, and it never cries out for attention. It just is power. That is something we all should strive for. How can you command a room in silence? And I'm not saying that's everyone's priority in life, to go command a room. It's the idea and the concept I'm trying to get you to visualize and understand. And you don't actually have to go walk in rooms. Walk in a room in your mind and play that out. You don't need to peacock. Power line versus broken transformer. Is it beautiful when it's exploding? Yes. I lived on the Jersey shoreline during Hurricane Sandy. Exploding transformers are like fireworks on 4th of July. It's the coolest thing, also the most terrifying thing. It's unstable, and you didn't know whether or not your apartment building was the next one to explode, So, adrenaline. We're good on all that. Let's just hum. I guess why I say that is because I feel like the self-mastery journey does open up the potential for an overflated ego. But not if you're doing it right. If you just say you're on the self-mastery journey and just flaunting that all over the place, then you're probably not really on it. Because if you're actually truly on the self-mastery journey, you are pushing yourself through self-discipline for overall control of self. And when you're doing that, you're taking into acceptance and accountability that your natural or innate responses due to your unprogrammed mind or the programming of old programs, you don't have great reactions. And that's very humbling. And that kind of kills out your ego, because self-mastery is not the naivety to your own needs and of growth. It's the acceptance and the awareness of where you have vulnerabilities within your growth. I personally have been working 8 years on how I respond when I feel anger. And then after that, I recognized it's my choice to embody the anger in the first place. So now, 4 years and then another 4 years in, now we're just working on transmuting anger, man. Why am I even getting upset? And it's working. People try to get me mad and I laugh because it's kind of comedic at this point. And isn't that great? Right? At first you're I don't want to respond from the seat of anger any longer. And then you practice that so much, you start to recognize that the anger in the first place was a choice of yours, a gift you gave to yourself based off of this other person's narrative of their own life. What does it have to do with you, man? You have the option, though, to calm your mind and calm your soul, or not even allow it to get inflamed in the first place. Just patiently hear people out and say, I understand what you're saying. What you're saying is very valid. And then use an example of what they said back at them that's very validating. Like when you said meow, it meant meow to me, and now I get that. However, I still feel there's a neglect to understanding my point, because what you just explained, how is very valid, does not actually sit on the same level of debate of the thing I was trying to discuss with you. That's now a different topic. So I feel as if we're actually just misunderstanding each other. So let me just try one more time for you to understand me. After that, however, you are committed to misunderstanding me because you want to keep driving your valid point, which is valid, just not conducive to what I'm saying. And at that point, you just walk away. You don't, like, what's it matter, dude? Walk away. The commitment to misunderstanding a concept is also lack of wisdom. Commitment to misunderstanding is also those who fail to find me harm themselves. All who hate me love death. That's the same concept. If you want to just misunderstand, which is an impossibility with the amount of technological advancements we have right now, you could go on a 10-minute Google rabbit hole and get an entire lecture and download about a topic. Like, it doesn't even need to take hours of sitting in a classroom anymore. Can literally just rabbit hole for 5 minutes on Google and you're like, oh. So if you want to still be confused, that's a choice. That's those choosing to fail to find wisdom. And those are not the victims of this world. Those are the lost. And all you can do is pray for them. Pray for them, but you can't get involved. You are not the shepherd. And I hope that one day we can come together to help the lost. But there are, like I've mentioned plenty of videos ago, they will try to drown you. Seed planting is the best you can do, and you seed plant by living your lifestyle by these morals and values you believe in, by these high vibrational beliefs that you believe in, by pushing yourself into evolutionary growth and living that loud by being quiet about it. Just by being it. You don't need to say it, you are it. The embodiment of that lifestyle is what can help guide the lost back to us, back to wisdom. Providing the torch in the darkness. But you don't run into the dark without a torch. You don't run into the dark alone in general. You stand where you feel in your power and you allow what attracts to you in that protection. Wisdom's call. Wisdom saying, all the words of my mouth are just. None of them is crooked or perverse. To the discerning, all of them are right. They are upright to those who have found knowledge. Yeah. You who are simple, gain prudence. You who are foolish, set your hearts on it. Listen, for I have trustworthy things to say. I open my lips to speak what is right. I'd like to be more like wisdom when you read that proverb like that. Those are qualities for all of us to embody. Not just, learning wisdom and applying knowledge to become wise, but that to be the entity of wisdom, man, and follow these beliefs, this trust and this truthfulness. And you know what? Not all the time is the truth gonna go over well. The truth can be offensive to those who are blinded by the light. But does that mean you stop speaking it? Does that mean you stop speaking wisdom? No. All right, guys. Spread the wisdom by applying your own learned lessons and knowledge into your life to make a proactive change to beat the cycle of repetition. Onward and upward, friends. Have a great day.